You know, the whole Android versus iPhone thing has been debated. It's mostly people just attacking each other back and forth. Nobody's really discussed it, the pros and cons of each one. It's always emotionally filled charges. But me as an Android user,
I use Android.
I'm going to try to be a little bit less biased and use the pros and cons of Android versus iPhone. And what do you guys have?
Apple.
Yeah, iPhones.
You're listening to Crollur and Willy, a nerdy podcast for elder millennials.
Like every product you guys have that's electronic is Apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty close to
Apple Watches.
Yep.
So,
Apple iPad.
all right. So specifically, what phone do you have? Like, what version of the iPhone?
It's kind of personal, but I have the iPhone 11.
I have a 12 Pro Max.
Ooh.
And what do you got? What
I don't know. It's a Galaxy phone.
Where'd you buy it, and how much did you spend?
It's like a Verizon Galaxy phone, like 900 and
I think they're on
so
the
dollars.
Galaxy 20 right now.
See,
21.
I have the Samsung Galaxy S22. Now,
Maybe I have the S21 because my camera is not as good. I don't know.
But before we dive too deep into this, I do have two announcements really quick. This is the second to last episode for the year. There will be one more episode, which will be the Christmas episode. And then also, if you haven't noticed, we've been doing skits on our YouTube. You should subscribe because we've done a Hunting Down Luigi and a Star Wars lightsaber skit, and there'll be more coming.
Like even with these last two episodes, we're still going to be doing skits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Make sure you click that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on the greatest and the latest.
I personally bought my phone for the camera, and also because it works well with my TV, the screen sharing, because it's just one click and everything's on the TV.
We have mirror imaging. We can mirror it right onto the...
It's a cool feature. Mine works great with Samsung, and it works great with Vizio. Like, even when my computer didn't work, like, I tried to cast from my computer to my Vizio, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. If I went and looked up the same thing on my phone and just clicked it, it worked just instantaneously. So why did you guys buy your iPhones?
I like mine because of my pictures, the camera.
You take a lot of pictures with it?
Yeah, I take a lot of pictures with the kids.
Video, pictures.
Video. They have the live picture, which I call Harry Potter pictures. You can take a picture and it shows like a 3-second live video of the picture.
I mean, that's a pretty cool feature.
Wait, they got live pictures?
Yeah, when you take a picture, you can have your live on the option live, and it'll take like a 3-second video.
So it's an actual video. But...
Yeah, it's a picture. Like it shows up. It wasn't a JPG or whatever, JPEG, whatever. But it does take like a 3-second video.
When you look at it, you just hold your finger on it, and then it starts it up.
Wait, so it's a picture, but
it's basically an animated GIF in a different format, from what I can tell.
The Galaxy do that?
I don't think it does that automatically.
Weird.
I could probably turn a video into that, but it doesn't do it automatically.
You can just download an app.
I do have a cool feature on my phone, which is an instant filter that like they have different ones, but the coolest one I found was the one that automatically blurs backgrounds as if it had a cool bokeh, like you're working with like a professional camera.
They have this like new feature on your iPhone where you can make it into a sticker, and like it voids out all the background, and then you can like sticker whatever you want, and then send it with like just 1-2 people or whatever you took a picture of, and it's pretty cool.
You do that too, Alex? Is that why you like the iPhone? Because of all that?
I actually started off as an Android user, and then I swapped to Apple.
Yeah, but when you swapped out...
Cue intense music. Okay.
When you swapped out to it, when you got your iPhone, were you like, what the fuck is all this shit?
Honestly, it was all pretty easy to convert. The only thing that messed me up was not having a backup, like a back button. Because, like, that you can just hit the button to go back.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the iPhones don't actually have a button separate on your phone that does that. You have to go into actually look at the screen and actually hit like back on the screen.
Yeah, I've heard that like every single app has a different position for it.
Yeah, it's all pretty. It just depends on what you're.
I definitely appreciate that the back button's always the same spot on my phone.
I mean, But other than that, like it was really easy to pick up an iPhone and just start using it. The simplicity of it and just how easy it is to use. Really, I don't know. It just dragged me in because when I had my Android, it seemed like it was going like super slow. Like I would be paying bills, and you have to do it automatic. Like I'd have to type it in, and then like it wouldn't never register like a number, and then I had to start over, and it was like super aggravating.
I think that probably has a little bit to do with just which phone you had,
Is
the
that
hardware on it.
Is that the service provider too? Because I noticed like
It could be the data provider if it has to send it forward and back, but most of the time it's the hardware on the phone that would cause that. That is the thing about Android.
Yeah,
is
I read
that
it.
there's so many phones. But I would like to dive into the idea of like Apple and what makes Apple different than everything else. And the key feature is something that you pointed out, which is that everything is just slimline and simple and easy to use.
and overpriced.
That is the whole the purpose of Apple is to be easy to use, and it just works. It just functions.
Right.
It does what it's supposed to do.
Well, I can buy 2 PS5s for a new
But
Apple phone.
An Apple phone is mainly like a lot of has to do with like security and all that. So like, all your information doesn't get put out there, especially when you're using
Apple,
the apps inside of the App Store.
the thing is Apple is no more secure than any other company out there. They can be hacked too.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people's iClouds have been hacked and their pictures have been shared. So
It happens way less with Apple users than it does with Android users. So
That is true.
yeah.
I would say that it's probably easier to get into an Android phone just because, not because it's more secure, but because the settings, you have to manually change the settings, whereas in Apple,
That's how I got my iPhone hacked into.
yeah, a lot of people, Apple has them like defaulted to maximum security, whereas in Android, it's almost always wide open and you have to set the security up.
Yeah.
But they have different security measures set in place for Android phones. They just aren't default on.
So it sounds like Android are
Winnie.
wanting their customers to get hacked. That's what it sounds like to me.
No, they're wanting they actually expect their customers to know how to use their phones, whereas Apple
A big
doesn't
accus-
expect.
No, they do it for you.
It's a big
Yeah.
accusation.
Well, for Android, it is a lot cheaper because you have a lot more options to choose from. And like the safety features, like you were talking about, it's actually called a closed or an open system where you are more susceptible to get hacked.
Here's the thing though.
because the
Is
system is more
here's the
open.
thing though is Android is on a open source platform
Right.
that's based on Linux. If a security breach happens, there are multiple people around the world that can easily just look at what happened and patch it. Whereas with Apple, everything has to go through Apple. So if Apple gets hacked,
Yeah, you're right.
they have to go through their team and their team has to deal with it. Whereas, and this is the true with every open source platform, is yes, sure, somebody can access the code of the platform, but so can everybody else. So any hack is easily solved by somebody else who's already looking at the code and being like, I see how they did this. Let's stop it now.
Right.
Shoot the patch
So you're
out.
saying Apple don't do that?
No.
It's
With
a big
that,
company,
with
though.
Apple, you have to wait for Apple's team to come up with a patch. Whereas with Android, you have people that don't even work for the company that are able to look at the code and share it and be like, okay, this is an exploit. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
So
Android,
you're saying that Samsung is a bigger company?
Well, Samsung is a phone manufacturer. They do the parts and stuff, and Android is the software. That's the thing with Android. Android is just the software for the phones, and there are
okay.
multiple different companies making those phones
right.
using the software.
So it's quicker to fix what's up with your
And I think
Android.
that's one of the reasons why there are some issues with Android phones. Because of the vast amount of hardware, the software has to be able to handle all the different versions of the phones.
That could be a drawback.
It is a drawback, but it's one that's combat by like just constant updates.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that all my apps updated recently,
Right.
and it kind of annoyed me a little bit that I had to update them all. But I imagine that there was a shift in the software, which is another thing Apple does for you is they update for you. But if something goes wrong and your update doesn't go through, you can't manually sit there and upgrade it. Whereas with an Android, you can go out and be like, okay, I need this update, download it. Whereas an iPhone, you have to wait for them to push you the update. And
you guys ever had any problems with your updates?
I mean, I kind of like that because it means that only one specific person is looking into the problem and patches that it needs to be able to get that problem situated.
I think sometimes
Team of experts.
Yeah.
Team of experts.
There is a thing when we talked about multiple sets of hardware for the thing, and one thing that I think is a big rumor that a lot of people buy into that are Apple people that isn't true is that Android phones all have shitty cameras. It's not true because
mine does.
Here's the thing: is we have 3 different phones recording this podcast right now. We have an iPhone, we have a Samsung S22, and then we have another Samsung phone which I don't remember. And you could probably tell the difference between the 3. And I guarantee the S22 and the iPhone look pretty damn good, whereas Willy's phone really sucks.
Maybe the video might be better, but the picture.
Oh no, the video is bad.
The video. Here's the thing: is the onboard camera is good on my phone, but when I go into an app like Snapchat, it downgrades the video because Snapchat is designed to work on multiple different platforms, multiple different phones, and unfortunately, this is one of the down things of Android, is that because there's so much variety, the app users basically use the lowest common denominator when making their apps.
Well, Samsung came out with like a lot of variety on their phones, so
it's not just the tiers of Samsung. It's also like LG, HTC.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying they sell the phone that you're going to use it for. Like I bought my phone because it's for calling and texting. I didn't get it for the whole video and pictures and stuff.
To finish up, what I'm saying here is the app developers will make the app to the lowest grade. So their video processing in like Snapchat and stuff is a lower quality for Android phones. If I go and I take the video with my native camera app, it looks crisp clear. If I take it on Snapchat, it's slightly blurry. And it's because that they designed that app around lower end phones.
Like flip phones.
Right.
And speaking of flip phones, there's something Apple doesn't have, which is the new folds.
Yep.
No, Apple is coming out with one.
How many years later, though?
Yeah.
Well, 12.
I'm actually considering getting it. Like, I think it looks super cool.
And I think that's one of the downsides of the way Apple works is they want their whole process to be streamlined and perfect and polished and everything. So everything that they have comes out later so that everything looks good when it comes out. There's no trial and error with the open market like there was with the Samsung Fold, which its first rendition wasn't the best, but now it's good.
So you had to rebuy another phone to get the better version.
Right.
That's why.
I mean, I think the iPhone 12 Pro Max is just as good as the new 13 or.
But the thing is all of Apple's stuff is stuff that every other phone has been able to have for at least 2 to 3 years, and it's because they wait to release it until after they've tested it multiple times. Their quality standard is high, but at the same time, you have to wait for features that other people have had for years.
Yeah, but if there's so many bugs and they're waiting for all the bugs, is when they get them when it comes out, is it actually them using it or just waiting for it to work?
I saw like within the first year, like their initial first run was bad, but their second run was good, and that's the one that most people bought. The only people that bought the first run of the Fold were absolute enthusiasts that were waiting in anticipation for it and pre-ordered it.
So all the other people waited until they knew it was going to be good, so they can use it upon the purchase.
It was still years before Apple still hasn't released it yet.
So basically,
No,
Apple was like, okay, so these other phone companies are like, these are demos to us, and we're going to do it, even better.
Basically, with Android users, you have a test market of high-end enthusiasts, then you have the general market. Whereas with Apple, it's literally you have what Android did, and you have what Apple did years later.
I don't know. I'm very curious with a flip phone. I think it's like with the Apple 15.
I just know when I had Android, it was just a lot of things like you had to do separately. You know, you had to download all these extra apps that's going to take up your memory where like stuff like, you know, I'm not quite sure how the new Androids are, but when I had an Android, you had to download the Task Killer app. And that was just another app I had to download to waste my memory.
I could tell you this: the Task Killer app did absolutely nothing.
Well, I'll
No,
tell you
just-
what.
I had one, and I found out it did nothing. It just it does waste your memory because it does nothing. Literally, closing a task is as simple as swiping off, like going to the apps button, like recently used apps, and swiping it off.
Remember how you were saying?
If you need to force close an app, you
I'm
do
not
have to go
gonna
into the
do it.
settings and force close it. But I don't think you could do that in Apple at all. I don't think you can force close. I think you still do the same thing as you go to your recent apps and swipe it off.
What
Yeah.
came out first, the Apple Watch or the Galaxy Watch?
The Apple Watch.
So
Then the Galaxy.
you were saying like earlier that Apple was always behind on like
Well-
certain things, but Apple did push out products that the iPhone could
They are that is one of the other things Apple's good at is the whole ecosystem. Their phones work with their computers, that work with their
phone.
watches and stuff like that.
And they got
That is
clock,
one of the other
too.
reasons why people would use.
You have a lot of family sharing.
Was it
but-
iHome or something like that? They got that too.
Yeah.
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 And then they got who's Siri? Is that Google?
They
No.
do have Siri, yeah. And then Google has
their
Alexa.
own, and then there's also Alexa, which is Amazon's whole little thing,
Right.
which has nothing to do with.
Yeah, but Apple came out with that first, didn't they? With the iHome, or was that Alexa that was out first?
No, I think Siri. I think Siri came out first, and then the iHome.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the iHome didn't take long after the Siri thing.
I
But
think
I
that's
think-
fairly new. The iHome is fairly new because they also have Google has Nest, and they also have Google Home. But I think you're right. iHome was probably the first one, and then Google started coming out with their own.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
the thing is
because I got the older
the thing
iPhone
is there were other options out there before that, but none of them were specifically designed to work with Android
Mhm.
or iPhone. And I think
It was
the
a
whole
Christmas
Google, the
present
whole
we
Google
expect.
Nest, the whole Google Nest thing, I think, is their attempt to do what Apple's doing with integrating their software with their phones.
Yeah, Apple has a good CarPlay too.
As a what?
A CarPlay.
What's that?
It's actually when you get into your car. Like some dealers have an Android versus an Apple. Some of the cars work better with Androids, and some of their cars work better with Apple. But
I have found.
I have a Buick.
Oh, now car companies are getting.
Yeah.
onto the
I've actually
competition.
found
All right.
I've actually found since I've owned a Ford, and I think you own a Ford, that
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. Their sync works perfectly fine with both of them.
Actually, my truck actually works better with the iPhone because there's
Yeah.
more apps for that display thing with the
Yeah,
iPhone.
because if you don't have that compatible app, you have to plug in via
Yeah.
USB or aux. Versus whereas your car is more Apple, it can Bluetooth straight to your CarPlay or
Mine works fine with mine, and mine hooked right to his phone or right to
I'm
his
just saying,
car.
like when you actually hit the app button
You-
on my display screen, like
What apps does it have?
nothing for my Galaxy,
But what apps does it have on your truck?
everything for the iPhone.
Yeah, just screen images, your iPhone
Yeah,
to the little screen on there. And
but
you
when
can
I hook
bring
my
up your
Galaxy up to
GPS,
it, nothing pops up.
your Spotify list if you want.
I don't really see why you would need that. It works perfectly if I just put my Spotify on and I press play and it works.
well, your car might be compatible with yours, but it might
It's the
not
same
be compatible
system.
with everything else.
Mine's just
Some
a couple
vehicles,
generations behind his.
Like GMC or Buick
Maybe that's
or
why.
Ford are different. I haven't really read up on that.
Like
very
I'm not
much,
trying to
but-
steer up for the
Right.
Apple users, but I'm just saying like the
Sounds like Willie's about to buy an iPhone.
I know,
no,
right?
no.
I
Because I
wonder
don't-
how much storage space compared to yours. What ours would be. Apple would have more storage space.
Yeah, but they
or-
can buy like SD cards.
There's a
then
there's a lot of
extend them
a lot
Yeah,
of
we
phones
get
have
SD cards.
Apple can do that too. I have done that before because some
No.
some phones
The newer
have different
ones-
gigabytes.
Newer ones all have internal,
Mhm.
and they almost all have the same sizes. There's like 64, 128, 256.
Well, I'm pretty
They're
sure
starting
my
to get up to
Galaxy's-
they're starting to get up to higher and higher amounts, but they all have the same amount. I looked at it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure mine's internal on the Galaxy.
Yeah, at this point, most of them are going to internal.
right.
Yeah.
I think Android, like the lower end Androids, are probably the ones sticking around to having SD cards.
So I got like a hybrid Galaxy with shitty video quality, but it has good memory.
One of the most controversial things that irritated me was when Apple took away their headphone jack,
No.
yeah.
and then years later, Samsung did the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn it, I liked it because sure, I can get wireless headphones, right? But I wear headphones that I can plug into my computer. I used to be able to just unplug them from my computer, plug them into my phone.
What are those things that those what are they called? Earbuds? Or what? Yeah.
AirPods.
Yeah, I thought that
I
was kind
hate-
of cool. They came
I
out with
hate
that.
the idea of earbuds, not as an Apple product problem, but as the way they're designed, because they're two separate things. Even the wireless headsets I have all have a strap that goes around that connects them, so that I cannot lose. Like I either have to lose both sides, or I can't lose one. And I think that's a big problem for me. Is I would lose one side or the other, the left ear or the right ear. I'd lose it.
So the idea is to put them back in the case to charge them immediately afterwards. Just set them around and be like, oh, I'm going to put it back in the case later.
I'm gonna take this out of my
Hey,
ear
watch it.
and I'm just gonna lay it right here.
How often do you think that like I'm out running or I'm at Walmart and I just shove it, and I would just shove it in my
Pocket.
cup, either my pocket or my
Then you
or
wash
my
your
cup
clothes.
holder
Then
in
you
my
wash your
car.
pants and then
Yeah, but
it's
you're
all
not going to
fucked
bring
up.
the dock with you.
Right. The dock is accessibly.
Yeah, it's like, if it's right in your
Easily
pocket, it's
accessible.
sleek.
They have like alarm on them too, like, oh, this thing is not charging.
Yeah.
Put it into the
It
charger.
pairs right up to your phone. It tells you on your phone when the
Oh,
batteries
no,
are going
okay.
low.
But yeah, but it's like warning. It's not
Yeah,
in your
it
ear.
says it too. And
Put it into the charger.
like, it'll tell you like in your ear too that the battery.
Does Samsung have an earpiece?
I believe Samsung has made one. Yes,
Is it-
I don't have it.
I don't have one.
I buy all aftermarket. That's one thing I like is I could buy aftermarket, so like third party aftermarket stuff for Android, and it all works. You can't do that with Apple. You have to buy Apple stuff.
But it's a good quality though. You don't have to take a gamble on a third party. It might be good in 2 weeks. It might not be.
Well, not only that, but Apple has a very good sell back or buyback. If you can return it in good condition, they do give you generally most of the money back that you put into it. So, whereas I have had to sell back a Samsung before, I've gotten nothing for
So
it.
basically, you're
Literally nothing.
the Apple products you're paying
You get your
a
money
lot.
back.
Yeah, you're paying extra money for good quality products and not, like things you get on Amazon, like, oh, this is
Yeah.
like from China,
Not all from Wish.
$14 for the earpiece,
Right.
and then they got the worst quality ever.
Right.
Mhm.
And even refurbished Apple is like you still get your money back. I mean,
So Apple keeps basically it keeps its like buying a truck, it keeps its
Yeah.
value up.
Right,
You know,
keeps
I know,
value.
I know. Samsung has a buyback thing too, though. One of the biggest things that I like about Android
cheaper.
is, well, yes, that is one of them, is that you can buy a variety of them from very cheap to very expensive. You could choose what tier Android phone you want and what company. There's a big amount of choices. That could be daunting, but it's also a good thing because there's competition to make better phones and make better products because of that.
Well, you can buy an iPhone from, go to Walmart, buy an iPhone.
iPhones are pretty much just iPhones. There is only a couple tiers, and they're all pretty much exactly the same. There's only a few choices, whereas with Android, there's different choices, different brands,
right.
and they all have different features. So
Yeah.
if you want a certain feature but not another feature, you can choose that.
Well, my fiance had an Apple iPhone SE, and her service was actually better here than what the Pro Max is. Like
But
her calls drop like
That's
all
just
the time.
provider though, right? That's not necessarily the phone.
No,
the provider, yeah, the provider, yeah, the provider. Apple and Android could be on any provider pretty much at this point.
oh, okay.
well,
There
let's
are certain providers that give you discounts for Apple products,
right.
but I have found that you can pretty much get any phone on any provider.
There's so much different variety, but yeah, everybody that picks an Android usually goes for the same brand.
There's a certain amount of choices that
Yeah,
for high-end phones, and I think a lot of people try to go for those high-end phones.
well, I'm just saying, you said that there was variety, but everyone's picking the same ones. So why would we really, the iPhones, you want the new iPhone because it's the new iPhone. It's going to run, you already know it's going to be good.
We still haven't come to the biggest reason why I keep choosing an Android phone, which is customization. I can change the background. I changed, instead of the default launcher, which is the default way the icons show up, the default way the menus and the contacts show up, and
Hey, we got
everything.
widgets.
It's not just widgets, but these are
What are the widgets?
like when I go into the settings menu changed. The keyboard has changed. Everything, I can change all that out by using themes and a different launcher.
Is this an
You
app
can't
that
do
you
that with an
download,
iPhone.
though?
Well, I don't do
Did
that.
you have to download
'cause-
that app to get those keyboards?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah.
However, Samsung comes with its own particular theming that you can use.
Yeah.
But I like the ability, like I can customize the roundness of the border when I open up a folder. I can change the gradient, how it pops up, how it goes down.
See, that's the thing.
I can change
I don't
app
go that
drawer-
thorough on my
Right.
Galaxy.
the app drawer. I can have it either scroll from page to page or one long list. I can have it list certain apps and not other apps. I can hide apps.
See,
I can do so much different customization. I think that's the reason that's one of the bigger advantages is the customization.
you're
you
mentioning
do.
things that I don't even know that I have on my phone.
That
You
I
know, like,
don't know. To me, that just sounds like a lot to do just to sit on the toilet and take a dump.
Yeah.
Like
But
that's a
I
lot
think
of customization.
That's one of the benefits, though, of having an Android is you can customize your phone.
Yeah,
you
but
can
does-
make it your own.
That is good.
Does
for
a lot
An-
of people care about that
Right.
though? Like,
But
I like
that goes
just
down to one of the
putting my
reasons
stuff in a
why
folder
why
and
people
be.
would prefer Apple over
Right.
Android or
Apple
Android over Apple.
is mainly known for the simplicity. It is
There's
very
a-
simple.
It's
It's
a
very cut
wham
and dry.
bam, thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Very
Version
cut and
of the
dry.
phone,
Whereas Android could, like you said, gives you so many possibilities, like
Yeah.
so many
Except
options.
you guys can download ringtones, but
Right.
you know what? Who has their phone with the ringtones on?
Oh, here's the
I
thing.
mean, I do.
Here's the thing.
And
is
how many
I-
people look at you like you a butthole? For,
Here's the thing is
having your phone not buzz.
I've actually made custom ringtones. Like I'll go on my computer and I will find a song
Mhm.
and I'll just cut it down to a ringtone size bit, send it to my thing, and I could just set this song as my ringtone. I
See,
don't
I'm
have to
kinda-
buy
I'm,
it.
like really neutral on this because I used to have an iPhone 5, and I really love that phone. But when I went to upgrade it, I was like, oh, the Galaxy was cheaper, so I just kept
Yeah.
upgrading the Galaxy because of the price.
I also like the security for your kids for the phones. Like because with the iPhones, like you have that the Find My iPhone. It's already built in, and all you have to do is link like whatever iPhone and that's on your plan. You can link it to your phone, and then you can see everything their phone does. Like I have a screen time for my daughter on her iPhone that's already linked to my phone. I can go into the Find My iPhone. Her phone's linked. I can use it, to see where she's at because she walks home every day from school.
It's a
So-
built-in tracer, like GPS
Yeah,
tracer.
Yeah,
Here's
but
the
I
thing
know
is-
with Android, you have to download every single thing because she used to have a Google, like a laptop, and I had to download all these Google apps to be able to do the same things that's already on my iPhone
But I can choose.
preloaded.
Here's the thing: is I can choose from a variety of apps to do each of those options. Like I got rid of my default texting app for a different one called Textra because I like the way you could customize the looks and the way I could change like the bubble shapes and sizes and colors and stuff like that. But also at the same time, when you talk about the locate my phone, you don't have to download an app for that. I literally can go to Google, and as long as that phone's linked to my Google, I could just go find my phone and it will find it. Since all Android phones are linked to Google, all you have to do is have that phone's Google logged into, and you could just like find my phone, and it will show you GPS locations of where it's at. You can have it ring. You can have it shut the phone down. Like you have it erase the phone if you're worried about somebody hacking into it and getting your information. There's so many different features, and that's all built into the Google website.
Yeah, but that's a website that you would have to go to, right? Versus they're just already on my phone.
Yeah,
like-
but it's literally part of Google. You open up the Chrome app and just find my phone, and it's there. To highlight the differences between Apple and Android here, I think Apple is great specifically for easy to use. It just functions, it works, it does what it's supposed to. Whereas Android is more for customization and options.
I think at the end of the day, it's turned into what every rivalry is. It's just personal preference. What you like because that's just what it is. Do you like Marvel? Nope, I'm more DC.
The last
See,
I
I'm
heard,
rooting
you're
for the
still looking
Android
for a
team.
good enough tablet.
Do you like
Nate.
Sony or do you like Microsoft?
No,
I think
the
it's
thing
just
is-
No, I'm not
iPhone.
looking for
Whereas
a
No,
good
I
enough
guys,
would be
tablet.
listen.
get an iPad.
I'm rooting for the Android team because I happen to have one. But when I went to get my phone, my fiance was telling me, maybe you should get an iPhone. And I wanted to get the iPhone, like, really bad. But I seen the price of it, I was like, I'm just going to go cheaper. So that's why I went with the Galaxy. But yeah, I would love to have an iPhone,
Yeah.
Me personally, I prefer my ecosystem of customization and having like my personal phone that looks different than everybody else's, acts different than everybody else's. And the fact that I can choose what brand my phone is, what camera's in it. Like there's choices. And with an iPhone, it's either iPhone 14 or iPhone 14 Plus, right?
Would you guys upgrade every single year? For
No.
I know
No.
some people. I know
Just-
some people who do, and that is
You
to
just-
me that's dumb.
just
Regardless of which side you're on, I think it's dumb if you upgrade every time there's a new phone.
Right, because
No,
with me, I would probably be like 2 years behind every time I upgrade.
I just
so.
upgrade when my installments are done.
I actually went from like a little tiny small one to like this one now where it's a lot bigger. It doesn't really fit back in my back pocket as good, but I still really like it for some reason because it gives you more. I mean, you could read a book off of this thing.
So what
like-
made you go to the Pro Max? Because they are bigger phones. Like, what made you go to that instead of the standard?
It was different going from a smaller to a bigger phone, but I definitely like the
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 quality.
camera quality.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
are you saying size does matter?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Small did whatever I needed it to do, but bigger was better.
I'm still an Android user. He's considering switching. You two are still iPhone users.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm C Roller.
I'm Willie McD.
And we're the Apple users.
The Apple users.
3 apples and 1 robot.
Who uses Microsoft?
Who does use Microsoft?
Yeah,
I don't
who
know.
uses Microsoft?
The
Xbox.
Windows phone was dumb.